Shelach lecha anoshim yitzuras eretz Canaan. So what's happening? That Hashem asks for us to send spies into the land of Israel. Perush shebo Yisrael lifnei Moshe v'Amru. The Jewish people came before Moses and they said to him, Nishlacha anoshim nefaneinu. Please, will you send before us some men to check out the land? Because they wanted to send spies. Not only did they undermine Hashem, but it says that they actually damaged the energy of Israel. Crazy concept. That you can actually damage the energy of Israel like one could damage the energy of the Shir by showing pictures during the entire experience. So they damaged the energy of the land of Israel by sending Meraglim. Why would you do that? How would you do that? Ki ikar pogam hay al yedei shluchim shemeraglim ki hashliach hu bechinas teva shebechinas malach. Now, if you think about what a shliach is, don't tell this to the shluchim, but if you think about the shliach, a shliach is an extension of you, but it's almost like an artificial extension. It's like a physical extension. You know, you have those back scratches. Aldika one. I bought one from the pharmacy. Pull it out, the head always falls off. I tried to super glue it, doesn't work. Needs to probably be welded together, soldered. But nevertheless, that's an extension of your hand. That's a physical entity. The shluchim, these meraglim, these entities that are going in, are a physical component. They're an extension of you. But Israel is something that is transcendent. Israel is something that transcends the realm of the physical environment. Because we know in Israel there's only Hashem. If you think for 1 second, and this is a really important element of our consideration right now, if you think for 1 second that the frameworks in Israel function according to the armies and they function according to the physical space, you are thoroughly mistaken. The energy of Israel is solely Hashem and solely the energy of Hashem. Constantly. It says Hashem's eyes are constantly upon the space of Israel. Now understand, what was so problematic? This is the big question, this parasha. Big question, this parasha. Okay, listen carefully. The problem was, there was no problem. It's a normal thing. Before you go out into battle, you send meraglim. Before you go out into battle, you send drones. You want to see what's going on there to be able to plan effectively and then institute what you need to do. So what was so problematic about them sending through meraglim? Doesn't make sense that it should be so punishable that now they're going to be stuck in the desert for another 40 years. And that they wanted to then go back and there were people that were killed with unimaginable plagues. What's going on here? So what he's saying here is the energy of Israel is a very, very different energy. It is an energy that supersedes the physical framework, but they wanted to engage with the energy of Israel from a physical framework. It's an extremely, extremely current question when it comes to what's transpiring in Israel with the drafting of the Haredi population. And not to give any obvious subjective comments there, but there's definite sensitivity. If you look at the Israeli population and the situation there, from a purely logical, physical standpoint, they're 100% right. There is 100% necessity for every individual to serve equally in the army and give their time to the army. 100%, no questions asked. On the other hand, if you look at this week's parasha and you think about the success of Israel and what Israel actually is, it is something that is transcendental. It is not something that is driven by the physical environment. It is something that needs to have that awareness. Now, where does that come from? That comes from engaging with the realms of existence, not from a physical space. That what? Yeah, but at the same time, you have a question of what level you want to engage with. What type of frequency do you want to tap into? And on their level, they were poigim. They lowered the frequency of experience there because of their intention of how to engage with them. It's an unbelievable and relevant teaching for every single one of us, not only to our perception of how we view the land of Israel, but it's to how we perceive our own existence.
There was a couple of physical spiritual they introduced doubt.
You didn't choose to become a rabbi. Hashem chose you, you know that.
I was definitely chosen by God.
That's true.
I am the chosen one.
It was forced on the rest of us.
You, Brit, these guys are suit. You were chosen. No question.
I tell my wife that as well every day, sorry.
So you would have rather chosen Sam Thurgood. So what you just said. You would rather have chosen Sam Thurgood.
You wanted to do some fancy design or something. Hashem chose you. You're bloody lucky.
You're the lucky one.
I'm the lucky one to be the rabbi. Okay, so have a look here. So on our space, and yes, I do think that doubt has a huge part to play here. You know, it's an amazing...
They spoke about how low would you start off by saying.
Yeah.
The reason they were punished is that they introduced it didn't interfere with their success because Hashem had decided the success. But just the fact that they introduced the doubt preserved.
And the frequency of engagement is what then affected their... You know, how do you look at success? You can look at the outcomes of success, you know, from a horizontal axis, but there's a vertical axis. So if you look at what transpired in Israel, yeah, they eventually were successful, but there's another axis entirely. I'll give you an interesting example. Rav Chaim Sonnenfeld, who was one of the first rabbis in Israel in the establishment of the state, and big questions between him and Rav Kook about engaging with the state of Israel and what should transpire there. Not going into the controversies there. They found Rav Chaim Sonnenfeld every morning reciting the book of Tehillim. Now, the Chabadskes recite it once a month on a Shabbos, but every morning...
The Chabadskes.
They did that every morning. The whole Shabbos of the Marira and
Wow. Every morning the whole book of Tehillim. Sure, that's a holy. There must be big schuyas there. Must be big schuyas. But listen to this. They came to him and they said, we don't understand. You've got so much to do. You've got so much to achieve. You've got so much responsibility on you. Where do you have the time to recite the whole book of Tehillim? He says to them, you don't get it. You don't get it. It's because I recite the whole book of Tehillim that I'm able to achieve so much. It's because I sit down every morning and I recite the book of Tehillim that everything flows and everything is achieved. Now, I was speaking to someone yesterday, and they unfortunately lost someone recently, and know them, and the oak hasn't come to shul. Maybe once or twice. I said to him, what's going on? And he said to me, they're dealing with a crisis at work and big things and They really want to come. Chicken or the egg? What is it? Where does it start? Now, if a person perceives life from the perception of, I need to work, I need to do what I need to do, and when I don't have pressure, then I'll make some time. That's the upside down pagima. If a person recognizes that their success starts fundamentally from the setting aside of time, that the Jewish people Yeah, technically it's not anything really wrong. Yeah, you're busy now, so you need to do what you need to do, and you make some time if you have some time. No, buddy, it doesn't work that way. You know, Yeshua, when he came in to fight in the land of Israel, do you know that on his way, traveling at night, the Gemara tells us in Megillah, that an angel of God stood in the way with a sword drawn to kill him. This was the leader, this is the individual that took over Moses. Yeah, just understand this, the intensity here. Was about to kill him. You know why I was about to kill him? Because they were waging war. They just entered into the land of Israel, fulfilling one of the biggest mitzvahs that Hashem asked them to engage with. And they didn't make time to study Torah. It says that night, he slept be'emek. It says that he slept in a valley. And Tosfos there tells us that what does it mean that he slept in a valley? It meant that he went and he slept in the depths of Torah. He went and he instituted that everyone back in the camp should go and study Torah. And they had a whole amkus and Ian Dikashir on learning. That is the success of the Jewish people.
When did they do the mass circumcision?
So the understanding in this space is for ourselves. The question of how we engage with life is a fundamental question. There is a primary engagement and then there is a secondary engagement. Our primary engagement always has to be the primary value of our spiritual engagement, because that's our success. Not only from a war standpoint and being able to vanquish our enemies, but on a physical standpoint in terms of our material success, in terms of our health and our ability to be successful, all stems from our spiritual success. And this is where he says, because they said, you know what, Hashem, I need to take care of this. You know, I'll come back to your study of Torah. I'll come back to it when I have time. Hashem says, cool, yeah, you deal with it. I'll go deal with someone else. You deal with it. Go for it. A little bit passive-aggressive, yeah. But the passive-aggressiveness here is not because Hashem is deciding. It's your choice. You've got to question, you know, if a person has a route to take, you know, Waze, not that it would help now with Waze because everyone uses it. It's a question of free will. Now you've got, you know, Hashem says, whispers in your ear and he says, listen, I know a route that will bypass all the traffic. You know, take it, you'll bypass all the traffic. And you say, no, thanks Hashem, I follow Waze, I follow this one here.
I don't need your help.
I don't need your help, I'll figure it out. Hashem says, fine. And then what happens? You hit the traffic. Hashem says to us, make time every day to study Torah, make time every day to daven, Shachris, Mincha, Ma'ariv, make time every day to engage with tefillah and engage with chesed. We say, no, sorry Hashem, too busy. When I have some time, I'll engage with this. Too busy right now, sorry. And Hashem says, cool, fine, that's totally up to you. You know, you have these individuals, I mean, it really irks me, this. You know, I say to them, it's Shabbos. Why don't you come to Shul on Shabbos? Come every day of the week. Or you come a little bit here and there. Why don't you come on Shabbos? I can't, I have to work. Shabbos is the day I work. I have to, I'm sorry. And and you think to yourself, one second, you come every day, you davening to Hashem, you realize that Hashem is the master of the entire universe. This is what it's all about. And you're telling me that Shabbos, the day that Hashem says, this is the day I don't want you to work because I'm the master of the entire world? No, sorry Hashem, can't, this is the day I can't give up. I have to go and work. And then they complain that that doesn't come. The flow doesn't come. Of course it doesn't come. If an individual's working on Shabbos, then the flow is being blocked. Now this, Clive, I'm sorry to release all of your secrets. I'm sorry, my friend. I just want you to be successful, you know.
Did you work on this guy?
Verotzelis, I've been trying very hard. You want to go into the land of Israel and fight a battle? Go for it. You'll fight the battle through a physical means. You want to go and fight the battle from a spiritual means? That means you just have to sit and learn Torah. You have to engage.
Got to be a balance. Hashem,
Total balance.
I mean, part about it is definitely Hashem does not expect us to control the whole day.
100%. And you see that. And I saw that very, very poignantly expressed by the Emek Hadavar. The Emek Hadavar brings. You see by Yaakov Avinu. You see many, many hishtadlus. Yaakov Avinu with his when he left his father-in-law, he left with this whole mechanism that he put into play with the kudim, all of these spotted sheep, and he was able to leave with that. And then Mekdava says even a tzaddik has to put in the ishtadlus. You have to be practical. You have to be pragmatic. But pragmatic is never a stira. It's never a contradiction to prioritizing. That is the fundamental picture here. Because if you have the nicest car but you don't have fuel in your car, that's quite not... You could be polishing the outside and cleaning it daily and doing all the checks that it needs, putting enough air in your tires, doesn't have fuel. That's not pragmatic. Same too when it comes to life. If you don't have the fundamental fuel and infrastructure of the spiritual nature, that's the most not pragmatic. So 100% I agree with you. It's not saying you just put up your hands and say, Hashem, it's all in your hands and go for it. That's a very, very different level. That's Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai level. And it says the majority of people can't engage on that level. It exists. And certain individuals can get there. And I've seen it. I've seen people that way. Doesn't expect it from us. Doesn't. If you look at the Shema, the first paragraph of the Shema says, B'chol me'yodecha, you have to serve Hashem with all of your money. Second paragraph of the Shema doesn't mention me'yodecha because it's plural. The first section of the Shema is singular. The second section of the Shema is plural. It's talking about the conglomerate. Conglomerate needs to go to work. The conglomerate needs to engage with pragmatic elements. But one thing's for sure, is a person needs to daven 3 times a day. A person needs to set aside time to learn Torah every day. A person needs to respect Shabbos. No questions asked. That's a realm of flow. No questions asked. And that's what he's saying here, that if you don't have that structure, Hashem says, cool, go for it. You want to exist on that platform? Exist on that platform. That's fine. You want to exist on this platform? Oh, I'm inviting you. It's up to you. It's your choice. And that's what we have in Israel as well. And this is where the Pegima, they were the ones.
Isn't this the big question? I mean, a lot of people say the whole question about free will. Isn't that the answer? If you're going to succeed, Hashem will still allow you to succeed. But there's a way of succeeding. You can either go the route of no traffic, or you can go with traffic. You can either struggle in your success, or it can come easy. Then Hashem will punish you and take that success away from you. If you're going to fail, you can fail. You can fail, quickly and move on to the next thing, or you can fail the hard way.
No, I think even success that you're talking about, the end is not always the same. There's a process that you're talking about, and there's struggle around the end or getting to the end, but there's also an end. Meaning that you see that the Shema says, if you follow this, I will give you everything in its right time. Why? That's not the reward. That's the facilitation. Hashem is saying, if you are able to retain a primary understanding of who you are and what your job is in this world, I will take away from you the all malchus and the all derech eretz. I will take away from you the yoke and the stress. And not only the yoke and the stress, but the outcome of success is only a element to facilitate continuous engagement. So if a person, the end goal is not success. The end goal is to be able to prioritize what is primary in life. Now, if you have the means to not have to worry, then that's going to allow you, hopefully, to be able to prioritize.
I have a nice story to interrupt. I interrupt.
You already have.
Years ago, myself offered a very big job in a hospital, ran a hospital. They required him to work on a Saturday, so he took the little job. So they told him they can't take the job because of his religion. They changed the spec.
Gewaldig. Gewaldig, beautiful story. Thank you for that. So to conclude, רק עיקר הבחירה הוא על ידי שרואים שיש דרך הטבע בעולם, וצריכים להיות ציר נאמן לשולחיו, להחזיר השליחוס למראה כמה שיהיה נכלל לשליח ומשלח. Unbelievable. Listen to this. He says, you know what the Ikka Bechira is? You know what the biggest free will and choices that we have to make in life? One fundamental thing. You have a choice. Okay? You have a choice who you want to engage with. You know? The Jews know how to do this well, but you have a company, you know? Do you want to speak to the representative or do you want to speak to the manager or the CEO? Up to you. You want to speak to the representative, you're not going to get anywhere. You want to speak to the CEO, he's your mate. He knows someone or you know someone that knows someone, you're going to get much further. We have a question in life. Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to engage with? Now, the Jewish people chose the representative. They chose the Meraglim. They said, thanks Hashem, we have the biggest CEO. He runs the world. He runs the universe. But thanks so much, Hashem. We're going to go with the representative. Yeah? We got to do our job. We got to do our business. Why did they do that? Because they weren't on the appreciative level. They said, the rest of the world does this, so too we need to do this. And that's the danger of the Jewish people. When we look at ourselves and say, you know what, it's too much for me to daven every morning in a minyan. Everyone else is going off to do their Pilates and then going to work. How can I do that? It's not, Hashem, what do you want from me? Not to work on a Shabbos, not to keep my business open on a Shabbos. Everyone else is doing it. Are you crazy? Do you understand who is the source of everything? The source of everything is Hashem. Now it's up to you. You want to speak to the CEO or you want to connect to? Very. And that's why these decisions are based on continual work. And that's why it's almost impossible. A Jew not in a framework of studying Torah and not in a framework of davening in a minyan and not in a framework of engaging with the frameworks of Judaism, it's almost impossible for them to make this decision. Almost impossible. Because their constant visual engagement is worldly. So they look at the exception to the rule and they say, well, that's not me.
But also, can Hashem perform miracles for you? You can do good things for you. I mean, it'll make it personal. But I remember Rabbi Shippo had a discussion. He spoke about it with Philip Kravitz. And he said to him, you should close your business on Shabbos. He said, Saturday is the biggest retail day of the week. If I shut my business on a Saturday, you can close it down. Like, you look at the turnover, 70% is done on a Saturday, the rest is split throughout the week. For him to close his business down on a Saturday would have to be an open miracle that all of a sudden his revenue would just appear on a Monday and Tuesday. I'm just like, how do you engage with it?
So I think,
an example. Sorry to interrupt you. Give an example. There's a place in Herzliya. Did we go to Yankelis on the beach? Okay, it's a coffee shop, whatever. On the beach in Herzliya. He used to be open on Shabbat. He was having a terrible time. One of these folks from Ranana came to him and said, listen, but you can't. Shabbat's out. We'll help you. If there's a shortfall, we'll help you, but we'll give you a guarantee. If you close on Shabbat, your business will be better. You close on Shabbat, the things are different. It's a different story. It's a different story.
So I think what's important here is not to... No, one second. There's a fundamental difference between you not going to work and having your business open. Now, with it being open, there are mechanisms. The Torah doesn't expect you to keep it closed. There are mechanisms. Yehuda has his businesses open on Shabbos. How does he do it? He has a way of doing it in a way that you have a non-Jewish partner that is able to... There's a way of facilitating it through halacha. So what's clear here is not black or white. It's not either this direction of I'm only studying, learning Torah, or I'm leaving everything. It's talking about creating a healthy prioritization. In life, we have to have healthy priorities. It says the doiris akadmonim, the individuals from the yesteryear, they would make their Torah learning the primary and their working the secondary. And the latter years, they made their working the primary and their learning the secondary. I heard and saw a beautiful pshat on that. Do you think that it means that they spent 10 hours a day learning and then the rest of the time they were studying? They were working?
Priority like this.
It means prioritization. It means, do you make time? And when that time is made, do you get distracted by work? Do you get distracted by all of the other things of this world? And you say, sorry Hashem, so much going on. I know it myself. I see it myself. That's why you have to have a chavrusa. It's one of the worst things. If you don't have a chavrusa, like to make time every day is very hard, because as soon as you sit down to learn, I'm telling you, there's 15 to 20 reasons that come into your head that says, let me push it off. Maybe next day. There's so much I need to get done now. I'm already involved. I can't say no. You have someone waiting for you. Oh, all right, that's pushed me into a space. Or you chaperine in the morning before your day starts, that then you're able to really get it done, and bang, nothing's going to interrupt you like this sound of the foot on the floor. The space of that engagement is fundamental. But and I tell you, in my own life, I see this. Like the days I say, okay, I'll do it, and I'll learn, my chavrus didn't come, I'll learn at 9 p.m., or I'll make it up. And I'll push through whatever I need to do. The complexities that start to pile upon takes me another 5 hours to achieve what I could have achieved in 20 minutes if I would have just sat and learned Torah. It's an unbelievable equation. You see this. I remember in Israel, I had a neighbor who was he lived on the top floor, and he became religious. He was in equity, and he told me that he saw on the Friday, he started to take off the Friday just to learn and prepare for Shabbos. Obviously he was keeping Shabbos, just took off the Friday to give added honor to Shabbos. He says his investments and everything went so much higher than the amount of work that he was putting before on a Friday. Now you make time, again, for Shachris, you make time for Mincha, you make time for Ma'ariv, you make time to learn Torah every day, you make time for Shabbos,
Make time for yourself.
you make time for Hashem in yourself. Then you have the strength, and then you're able to function from a different prism. So instead of engaging, again, he says, with the representative, engage with the CEO. You know why? Because the concept of shluchoi shel adam k'moisei, there's a principle that says the messenger is an extension. Yeah, we said it's an extension of physicality. But if you are functioning from the messenger himself, which is Hashem, if you're going through the directive of Hashem, you know what you start to do? You start to imbue your experience of life with the messenger. The messenger is God. He sends us into this world. If you say thanks Hashem, but no thanks, I'm now tapping into a different energy force, and that's what I'm bringing in with me. And that's where he says, "B'chinas klalius hatev shagach achar bria v'kedem bebria." Shezeu ikar tachlis v'meraglim pogmam shlichus v'yatzirim nemanim shloicham v'yitzil dibas haaretz ra. And that's why the final eventuation is they enter into the land of Israel, and they enter into the land. I'm not even speaking to you. I'm speaking to myself. Don't feel so.
I'm very
Let me
happy to
finish.
get a message though.
I am too. I'm enjoying
So to conclude,
Need the message.
V'amru, I send this out as well. Don't worry. It doesn't keep for you. Yeah, everything that you've said today has been taped, especially the part where you said that I'm the chosen one. That part I'm going to just cut out. I'm going to replay it to myself. When I go to sleep, I'm going. She knows I'm the chosen one. I tell her every day. But this I need to reiterate for myself every day. V'amru sheker al haaretz isura v'sheku ike pagam ashkoche. You know what? He ends off by saying, listen to this. He says they ended off speaking lies about the land of Israel. And he says, listen, he says, same to in a person's own life. When there is an energy, listen, when there's an energy of lying, okay? If you think about business, or you think about engaging with business, you think about the spaces of Meiser as well. You think about the tithing of one's success. That's an energy of lying. You understand? If a person comes along and they're saying they're a bit shady, they're not honest, they don't give tzedakah, that's an element of sheker. Sheker now means you're not tapping into the fundamental energy behind everything. You tap into the essence, to the CEO, Gewalt, you're going to see the flow, unbelievable flow. You want to say, I'm sorry Hashem, I need you to step back, I'm going to take control. Okay, Hashem says, fine, take a step back. And that's why you see the Jewish people were lying about the land of Israel. They were tapping into a different framework. So this is, please God.
Is this your Saturday morning sermon?